Hello everyone. Welcome to Novel Story in English. I will present the story of a love story, forced marriage. I'm sorry, I can't. Angia is no longer able to build a household with Brian. Angia is no longer able to remember a dark household. A heart that is hurt deep enough can no longer be healed if wounds caused by sharp objects are Angia's expertise in treating. However, if the heart is really hurt, Angia is not an expert. Sick. One word he always goes through. His heart is not iron or steel, which can be done anything. Angia is also a human being who needs love and affection, as well as warmth and serenity in every twist of life that she will live. Angia also feels guilty for what happened to her. Even if it turns out to be true, Brian sincerely apologizes to her. However, Angia doesn't want to hurt Brian when he finds out that he is no longer holy. Sorry. That's what Angia now feels. That momentary heaven on earth really made her a despicable human being. That's what Angia thinks right now. Angia can only blame herself for seeking temporary happiness by letting go of her desire with other men. The reason was simply because he wished he could forget the grief he felt. But what? Everything turned out not as Angia imagined. Instead, he just realized that what he was doing made him go deeper, into the abyss of problems so deep that he was trapped, not knowing how to get out of the hell he had dug himself. I beg Angia, I promise to make you happy, Brian kept trying to convince him. Angia. Now only Brian and Angia are left in the apartment. Pasha and Cindy left a long time ago, and Pasha wants both of them to solve the problem. Meanwhile, Vili, with a heavy heart, had to go to the hospital because there was a patient who had to be treated quickly. Brian, I can't, Angia cried without being able to hold it in anymore, tears that she had repeatedly held back. Still, they fell on her cheeks. Angia really hated herself for being a crybaby and couldn't be firm. He is confused, and sometimes he wants to scream as loud as possible why fate likes to play with him so much. Brian was silent after repeatedly pleading at Angia's feet, but the woman's heart didn't melt in the slightest. Brian just found out about Angia's nature. This woman has been patient all this time he has hurt, but when his patience has reached the end, his heart is closed, and there really is no place for him. What should I do? Brian wants Angia to be with him, and Brian wants Angia to say something he can do to get Angia back to him, build a household like a husband and a wife in general. Nothing, answered Angie. The woman smiled forcefully, her heart already frozen, covered in hatred and regret. I beg Angia, Brian was not discouraged. He kept hoping that Angia would forgive him. I'm not sure I'll forgive me, Angia said with her hand wiping her tears. You mean? Brian was confused by Angia's words. Angia took a breath and looked at Brian deeply. Angia wanted to say what she had been through. Angia was sure that after that, Brian would leave her alone. I'm not holy anymore, the words just slipped from Angia's mouth without the slightest hesitation. Angia wants Brian to leave her, and maybe that's the way. You want to test me? Brian chuckled at Angia's words, which he thought didn't make sense. I really have done the forbidden thing, sir, and I want you to leave me. You are right. I am a prostitute, said Angia with tears in her eyes. Brian smiled lopsidedly, and he couldn't believe what Angia said. You don't need to test me, I already love you, and I won't back down just because you say that, Brian said confidently. But I'm telling the truth, Angia answered glaringly. Brian looked at Angia, as did Angia. For a moment, the two of them stared at each other deeply. There are many questions in Brian's head. He wants to find the truth from Angia's eyes, but it seems Angia's eyes also confirm what Angia said. Brian unconsciously shed tears. It was the first time Brian had shed tears, and it was only for a woman. Who with? Brian wanted to know who the lucky person was. Angia shook her head, and she would never tell who it was, even if Brian killed her. That's to be me and that person's secret, what I want right now. Divorce. Angia answered, expressing her wish. I'm not going to divorce you, Brian remained confident in himself. But I've sinned, and you know I'm not holy anymore. I don't care, you're still holy or not, maybe this is a punishment for me, for wasting you. I beg you to come back to me. And I'm sorry, Brian was sure of his decision. He didn't mind anything or what Angia was like, and he wanted Angia to stay with him. I beg you to understand, I can't anymore, Angia continued to refuse Brian's wishes. Her heart was completely closed. They both fell silent for a moment. Brian continued to stare at Angia's face, which was covered in sorrow. Angia just looked down once in a while, her hand wiped the tears that never stopped flowing. Brian is confused about what he should do. Brian's regret is now bearing the fruit of suffering. The second chance he had hoped for seemed lost, but Brian would never let Angia go, let alone let Angia go with another man. That really hurts. I'll give you some time alone. When you're calmer, I'll come to pick you up. I want us to separate, said Angia, continuing to ask Brian to divorce her. No, don't ever dream about it. We'll do it all from scratch, Brian replied. If you can't, I'll just sue you, said Angia after she asked Brian for a divorce, but Brian didn't want to. So Angia decided to let him file for divorce. Never dream, Brian stepped away from Angia with a broken heart at Angia's request. And the divorce will never happen, no matter how strong Angia wants. Brian will defend his marriage no matter how hard, everything he will do to be able to live again with Angia, rearranging the pieces that had been shattered apart, rearranging and rearranging the household like husband and wife. So what can Brian do? While Angia doesn't want to keep her marriage anymore, what about Bilmar, who also loves a woman who is still another man's wife? As complicated as love is as painful as love. Then where it is said that love is happy and fruitful in heaven, in fact, everything is empty and so draining of tears. POV Brian. Do you know what regret is? Yes, right. Regret is a mistake we have realized, and that's what happened to me. I hate it, and I don't understand why hate can be love. I don't know why love comes at the wrong time. Love that comes from the word hate, why regret? That's what I'm asking now, isn't this what I want? The farewell between us that I've been praying for. My heart hurts when you leave, my heart hurts when you leave me. I just realized that our togetherness made me depend on you. I miss you, miss the voice when it calls me, missing the little habits you used to do for me. I really miss you. Wounded. Yes, I hurt when you said you gave yourself to another. I know I was wrong, but should this be the punishment for me? Punishment for a husband who tortures his wife physically and mentally. Right now, I'm suffering. Yes, it's true. I am suffering for what you have been through. I insulted you and said dirty words to you. Isn't that a part of prayer? And my prayer was answered by God. My wife has given herself to someone else, and why am I sad? Isn't that one of my prayers so far? Stings. My heart hurts like it's sliced when you say you want to leave me. I can't afford it. I really want you to give me a second chance. I accept you with all your flaws. For me now, whatever your situation is not why I still love you. Think of it all as a punishment for me who has made you tormented, as long as you want to come back to me. POV Angia. I don't know where my position is. I'm a married woman but not worth myself. I'm too fragile to accept this fate. Where is my happiness? There is not any. My happiness has left me, left all unresolved sorrow. Should I follow them? Following my mom and dad? I don't know how it feels. I don't believe that love exists because I've never tasted the sweet honey of love from a man who can accept me. It hurts to be married but not loved, but after I left, you asked me to come back. I don't understand what you think of me and how easy is it to regret? Is it that easy to say sorry from your mouth? I really don't know whether it's sincere from your heart or not. Sad. Don't you know my heart hurts? I survive in a very painful abyss. I was never considered to be always humiliated and dumped. Sorry. You came with an apology, and my heart has died, my patience has reached its peak, and I give up. I am no longer able to live a complicated life with you. I am no longer a weak woman like before that you can suppress as you please. Now I want to stand on my feet looking for where lies the happiness that God promised me. For sure, right now, you are not my happiness. Love, you say love to me. To all women, you also say love. Many times I'm the one you're looking for, in love with another woman, and you know I can never do anything. How stupid am I, right? Yes. Everyone must think so, but honestly, I did all that for my parents, who had received money from my father-in-law, and now my parents are gone and gone. I give up. I can't afford it anymore, the burden of suffering you gave. Let me live with the peace that I choose myself. Let me lose the throne. That's okay. I'm happy. During this time, people looked at me with respect and always praised me because I chose a throne that was high enough, but they didn't know the other side of my life full of storms of tears. Bathed in tears, and I suffer. No longer, my patience is dead. POV Bilmar. I'm confused about my life. I'm looking for love among many women, to the other side of the country I keep trying. To be honest, at my age, which has reached almost 3 heads, I also want to have a wife waiting for me at home. The wife who gave me a child. Sometimes I feel tired at work, and that makes me sad when I see the money in my account that continues to grow. Weird, isn't it? Yes, because I want to make money, and there is my wife and children who spend the money I'm looking for. And you know, I fell in love with a beautiful doctor who treated my sister-in-law. And this is where my pain begins, and I know the fact that he is already married. Honestly, my heart aches and hurts. Until the forbidden thing happened, and now he's gone somewhere, I regret what I've done, and I never imagined I would love someone's wife and take her chastity. My heart hurts. I miss him too, even if it's just one night's love. Honestly, I'm afraid of losing him. I'm afraid he won't want to see me again. I can't afford it. How painful is love? Is it this complicated to fall in love? Why am I stuck in a complicated love? Love that brings sorrow. I also want to be happy with him, but is that possible? It's so hard. How can I have something that I already have? Will fate be on my side? If fate is on my side, I will promise to keep him happy. I can't bear to be trapped in a longing that won't be cured, and I feel like this year, my chest holds tightness and pain when I don't see it. POV Author. 2 men love 1 woman. Brian is Angia Tiffany's husband, and Bilmar is the one who took Angia Tiffany's crown. Complicated, it's not clear that Angia doesn't love either of them. According to Angia, both of them only stopped temporarily in Angia's life but not in the woman's heart. Brian can only sit quietly, contemplating all the regrets he now feels. Angia just sits crying, waiting for a fate that will bring her happiness. Bilmar only regrets what he has done to the woman he loves in the hope that Angia will not hate him.